So, today is January 1st, 2028, the start of Season 4 of our PCM career mode. And I gotta say, I can't wait to get started. As always, the start of a new season comes with season preparation, so let's begin. And I want to start off by taking a look at our current roster with new signings like Paul MAGNIER and Antonio Morgado. Paul MAGNIER with 77 sprint and 81 acceleration, 79 hill stat as well, is our best sprinter, but also our best puncher. And despite Morgado's cobble stat only being 76, his hill stat is 77, so he's quite punchy for the cobble races. But I was honestly shocked when I saw his hill stat, 79 and 6-star potential in puncher, so he's perfect for the hill classics. Our second big signing, Antonio Morgado, is quite intriguing because his cobble stat is not that high, 76, but his 77 hill stat makes him the perfect combination for the likes of RVV, E3 and Omloop. And I hope to be somewhat competitive in those races this year. Now, of course, the third leader in our team is Lorenzo Finn, a rider you already know because, well, he just won Lombardia for our team. 81 medium mountain, 78 mountain, 78 hill, and lots of potential in both stage races and climbers, so he's our future Grand Tour winner. It will definitely not be easy, but my goal with Finn is to fight for a victory at a Grand Tour this year. Of course, there's a few more new names in our team like Marti, Magagnotti and so forth, but you'll get to know those as we race. So, I spent the last 3 hours planning our race calendar, our season objectives, our rider objectives and so forth, and I want to start off by saying that I'll probably focus on the most important races in this season. For example, I will start my season at the Tour Down Under, but after that I'll skip a couple of races and go straight to the UAE Tour. Reality is, Pro Cycling Manager 2026 releases in early June, and I want to get this series to a nice, comfortable ending by the time that hits. So I quite literally planned out every single episode of this season, 13 episodes in total, right here. This morning, I also spent quite a bit of time adding fantasy variants of races, for example this one for the Tour Down Under by a PCM community member called The Welshman. And as you can tell from the profiles, it's a very different race than the usual Tour Down Under. And of course, I made sure to do the same with the Grand Tours. Our 2028 Giro d'Italia is also made by The Welshman, and it's a pretty cool parkour. Starting off with a 29-kilometer time trial finishing in Pompey, then a Monte Petrano mountain stage on day 7. Really nice medium mountain stages, but also a cobble stage. But undoubtedly my favorite is stage 14 with the Monte Crostes, which that's a brutal climb in itself, a gravel section on top, and finally the Monte Zoncolan. And then there's also this one, stage 16 with a billion climbs, 224 kilometers, absolutely brutal. As you can see, I've already done my rider planning for the Giro as well, with Lorenzo Finn as our GC leader and Matthias Kopecki as our sprinting option. And if our Giro d'Italia variant wasn't crazy enough, the Tour de France starts in Uruguay, a variant made by Vlatuada. Gotta say, the first week is kind of simplistic with lots of sprint stages, but I feel like there's some really nice mountain stages in week 2. Especially this one next to Patrick's house in Andorra. In week 3, the Mont Ventoux, the Galibier, Alpe d'Huez, and an Alpe d'Huez time trial. That sounds pretty fun, doesn't it? As you can see, Lorenzo Finn, our best GC rider, will not be riding the Tour de France. Instead, my goal is to hunt stages with Paul MAGNIER and also Antonio Morgado, or with a climber like Omerzel from the breakaway. But I do plan to go for GC at La Vuelta with a pretty curious starting spot. The race starts in Casablanca, Morocco, goes through the Strait of Gibraltar into Spain, which that's pretty cool. Honestly, it's kind of an old school Vuelta with lots of hilly stages, but also a cobble hilly stage. And of course, a few pretty fun mountain stages in week 3. For example, stage 19, which finishes on El Travieso, a climb that I didn't know. By the way, this variant is made by Søren Raven. And if you wonder who's riding this race, basically everyone, starting off with Paul MAGNIER as our sprinter, Lorenzo Finn as our GC rider, Morgado as our cobble puncher, and the list just keeps on going, so we are stacked for La Vuelta. And of course, in our sponsor objectives, we are focusing on those 3 Grand Tours. For example, I won the top 5 in GC at the Giro and at La Vuelta, and at the Tour de France, I kind of want to win 3 stages, which that won't be easy. And I just switched my first objective from RVV to Milano-Sanremo, a podium, because I need an objective in the first quarter. Now, it turns out we've only got 1 trainer left, so I've got some work to do in hiring staff, even though Javier Sola is a pretty good trainer. He's Pogacar's coach in real life. But yeah, we gotta get some more. So, I spent quite a bit of money on trainers, maybe too much on 5 trainers, but Barreto is the first trainer I signed. I think that's the guy that 10-15 years ago was fighting with a wheel against Rui Costa. Next to that, Javier Sola is not the only trainer I poached from UAE Team Emirates, I also stole Machin now. And to be able to train all my groundbreaking riders, I had to sign 2 more trainers of that as well, Martinelli and Slongo, which the last one I think was Nibali's coach. Anyway, that is a lot of money spent on staff salaries, so let's hope I don't regret it. Lastly, I fired my scout because we're so far into our career mode that it's not useful anymore. And I also fired my doctor, so let's hope my riders don't get injured. I'm sorry, but I gotta pay for the coaches somehow. But I do want to spend some more money on high performance tires for, honestly, most of my team. I'm sorry, but 420,000 euros for 2/3 of my team to have high performance tires? What is the inflation like on tires? That's insane! Marti can go out, Mintegi as well, those can ride on shit tires. So I brought our cost down to 294,000, which still is a lot of money to be honest. But I think performance wise it's worth it, so let's buy it. There we go. Next to that, I think I want all the TT bonuses on both Lorenzo Fin and Ivan Romeo here, so 420,000 what? +1 on race day condition during time trials, +1 on TTM prologue stat, 0.7 on TTM prologue stat, +2 on TTM prologue stat. It is worth it for Finn, right? And of course Romeo can win time trials, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna risk it. There we go. It's a lot of money, but let's hope it's worth it. By the way, this one, Materials Cobblestone Classics, would be so cool to have for the team, but I simply can't afford that. Okay, I may or may not have spent a little bit too much money looking at our graph here, because according to the game, I'm bankrupt by the end of April. But the lesson I've learned over the last 3 seasons is, if you ignore this problem, it will just go away, right? But I don't think I'll be spending any money on a training camp, that's for sure. Okay then, I think that's most of our season preparation done, so let's slowly start moving to our first race. So I'm quite confused because I'm going through my emails and usually around the 5th of January, I get an email talking about a rider of mine losing all his talent. But it seems like I didn't get that email this year, so I think we might be safe. Anyway, our next race starts in Australia, the Santos Tour Down Under, 6 stages starting off with a sprint stage, but then a mountain stage on day 2. And it's actually quite a steep one, 7.7 kilometers at 10.5% up to 20%. And that's only stage 2. After that, a versatile sprint and a ridiculous mountain stage on stage 4. And these climbs don't exactly have a steady gradient, so up and down. Then a flat stage with some light cobbles and a hilly stage quite punchy on day 6. For sure the hardest Tour Down Under that I've ever seen. Oh snap, Mathieu van der Poel is here together with Jasper Philipsen, so Alpecin's best squad. Ineos brings Joshua Tarling to a race without time trials, so that's not very smart. Red Bull has Primoz Roglic, who is slowly but surely getting worse because he's 38 by now. Oh shit, I once again forgot to take out Oyer Lascano, he's still in here. But I think Jan Christen might be a solid competitor, worse mountain stat in 76, but 79 medium mountain. But as you can see, we don't exactly have a climbing rider in our squad, and there's a reason for that. This might be pretty stupid, but I'll try to go for GC with Paul Magnier because 76 medium mountain, we'll forget about the 70 mountain. Either way, Magnier is the second favorite for stage 1, which is that flat stage, so Jasper Philipsen is the man to beat, and I think we might be able to do it. But I've got one more surprise for you in the race. There we go, the race has begun, and as you can see, our team has a brand new kit. A Dacia kit made by Tom Gauthier. Wait a second, in the last episode, I spoke about the World Champs and the European Champs, and the results being that Magnier won the European Champion Road Race, but I only just realized it's our Magnier that won the European Road Race. Yes, I know, sometimes I'm pretty dense. Honestly, I was a little bit worried that our kit would look a bit too dark, but I think I like it quite a bit, and we can also see Mr. Zheng on the left side of the road in the Chinese NC jersey, so that's pretty cool too. So the first and only climb of the day is here, but I don't think it will matter too much. It's gonna be a flat sprint at the finish. Actually, it's a slightly uphill sprint. And of course, Magnier with 79 hill stat, I'm liking that. Anyway, into the last 17 kilometers with Zheng now at the front of our train, then Alvarez, Watson, Kubish, and also Paul Magnier as our sprinter. Zheng is doing a fantastic job keeping our train at the front of the peloton as we speak. Caden Groves is here for UnoX. De Lee is here for Lotto. Dan Hole? No, that can't be true. I think they're positioning Ryan? In the last 3.3 kilometers, not exactly in the perfect position right now. Kubish can take over on 99, there we go. I can't start sprinting yet, but Van der Poel is getting a lead out by Plowright? Okay, Magnier is gonna launch right now in the last kilometer. There we go on the left side of the road. Philipsen is right there, so he wasn't in the wheel of Mathieu van der Poel, but there we go. Wow, First race, first victory by Paul Magnier ahead of Jasper Philipsen. That was a really chaotic sprint, to be honest, but I'm happy we won. I knew signing Paul Magnier was a massive catch for the team, but he's winning already on day 1, so it's even better than I planned. And of course, as the winner of stage 1, he will also take on the Okra jersey. There we go, look at him. Like, I know he's quite OP when it comes to his stats, but he's only got 77 sprint. And Jasper Philipsen 82, so Philipsen must have been in a pretty bad position to lose from me. Anyway, I'm not complaining. But now, stage 2 is where it gets interesting because there's a proper 7km 10% climb, Mount Baobao, what a name. Primoz Roglic is the favorite, and I'm going for Magnier? Honestly, this can only end badly. So, starting off pretty much to the front of the peloton with Paul Magnier on a 0 day. So let's take a look at our stats here. 71 mountain, 77 medium mountain. I think on this kind of stage, the peloton might look at me to control the breakaway. So instead of doing that, I'm going to try and go in the breakaway, but I was going to try and do that with Rojas. He's not exactly at the front though, so I got to move up first. Yeah, lots of riders attacking. I'm going to go with Zeng instead. So Zeng get in the wheel of Watson, and Watson will try to attack with you right now on this uphill away from Hamilton. Let's go into the breakaway. Okay, my attack failed. I'm still in the peloton. Can I go with Rojas instead on the right side of the road? But the man does have 76 mountain. No, but Oncini tries to catch me. So I think the break is formed. 9 riders up the road with some pretty solid climbers in here. Shakun, Madouas, also Boishy, and literally nobody spacing in the peloton, so I think I'll have to do it. So I'll go on maybe 68, 70, something like that. It is literally only 60 kilometers to the finish line, so gotta make sure this break does not win. Like I've said a couple times that Paul Magnier is my leader in this race, but with 71 mountain stat compared to Vicente Rojas with 76, Rojas probably should be. Okay, just about 20 kilometers to go to the finish line, and we're still pacing with Alvarez in the peloton. The gap is 2 minutes to the front of the race. Alvarez doing a fantastic job. Magnier and also Rojas looking pretty fantastic, but I want to move up a bit. The breakaway is diving down to this final climb. Mount Baobao is coming up, and they've still got a gap of 1 minute 50, but it's a massively steep climb, so they can definitely still be caught. Magnier in a good position, Rojas as well. I'll try and keep them both safe. And the climb will decide who's my leader. Okay, time for Mount Baobao. Let's take a look at the gradients again. 7.7 kilometers at 10.5%, up to 20%. That is ridiculous. I'm at the front of the peloton though. The gap is coming down because Ineos is pacing like crazy. Oh snap, attacked by Van Eetveld and by Kristen. I've got myself moving up slowly but surely in the last 5.2 kilometers. NSHL on basically everybody, to be honest. 86, 87 as we speak. Come on guys, move up. This climb is so incredibly steep. The gap is only 26 seconds, but let's hope it doesn't expand. Come on Magnier buddy, 3 kilometers to go. Keep on pacing. The gap is 40 seconds, 50 seconds to the front group here, and they're flying up the climb, so they're going faster than me. In the last 1.5 kilometers, but the gap is still 50 seconds, so these guys are definitely going to be fighting for the stage with Martinez, Kristen, Van Eetveld, and the Plus, and I'm not going to be able to fight them. I'm too far behind, but the winner is going to be Jan Kristen, it seems to be, but Paul Magnier is not too far behind in the group behind, so Magnier, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Finish with these guys. Finish with these guys. Get your sprint out. Get your sprint out. Pass Arensman, but it's going to be a top 10 in GC somewhere. I was kind of hoping for more. And yes, I know he's got 71 mountain, but still, I don't know. Maybe going for GC with Paul Magnier on a mountainous Tour Down Under was not my smartest idea. But hey, we're still in 5th place in GC on 49 seconds of the new leader, Jan Kristen. By the way, where's Primoz Roglic? I don't see him at all. This is crazy. Lil Bro finished on 4 minutes and 19 seconds with 79 mountain stat. How do you do that? Must have been Tim Sosky controlling him. Anyway, time for a stage I can definitely compete in. Stage 3 is a versatile sprint with as favorite Paul Magnier, our man. Like sure, there's a couple of hills in the final, but the finish is flat, so I don't see how Jasper Philipsen gets in trouble here. And ouch, we've got a -1 on the day, but still a 77 sprint stat, so it's not negatively affecting us too much. On the first hill now, and the break has been caught, so UAE is not exactly pacing too much. Maybe I should pace a little bit harder. There we go, Benjamin Oval gets gets to the front. We've got an attacker for the KOM points, but I don't care too much. I'm simply trying to make this climb a little bit harder. And every single uphill section I keep pushing to try and put Jasper Philipsen in a little bit of trouble. That said, after the first climb, Jasper Philipsen is in a perfect position, so I don't think it's working. The dude literally has 74 hill stat. Now on the last climb, and I'm pacing once again with Noval, but the rest of my team is suffering in the wheel. Come on, Rojas, keep pushing towards the top. There we go, over the top, but still a peloton of 100 people, so there's no way Philipsen is dropped. Actually, a small split in the peloton right now, and Philipsen is behind it, so I gotta keep pushing on 99, but I don't have the manpower to keep this 25-second gap on the second peloton, so I think they're coming back. Yeah, with 7.5 kilometers to go, Jasper Philipsen is back. I'm pacing with Kubish, but my train is looking destroyed. We do have some late attackers under the 5k banner, Plap and so forth, but I think I've got it under control. MAGNIER is still feeling quite alright. Zeng is gonna be my lead out today. There we go, last 2.7 kilometers, Kubish doing a fantastic job. Zeng is ready for the sprint right now. There we go, MAGNIER in the wheel. Philipsen nowhere to be seen. Nerurkar and Simmons, we've got this. We've got this. Last kilometer, there goes Paul MAGNIER, but what is Philipsen? The Belgian shout. MAGNIER wins. There we go, second stage win. And it looks like there's a couple gaps in here, so maybe we gain some time in GC. Honestly, looking at Jasper Philipsen's position, I think our work on the climbs actually paid off. Our third race of the season and our second victory for Paul MAGNIER, taking 7 seconds on a second group and 26 seconds on the other GC riders. But Paul MAGNIER is still in 5th place in GC, now on 13 seconds only of Jan Christen, so we're actually still in the running. GC MAGNIER is on. I do find it quite fascinating how Paul MAGNIER in Pro Cycling Manager has become such a different rider than in real life. In real life, he's better on cobbles. In game, he's a puncher. But hey, a puncher with 2 wins at a Tour Down Under. That said, stage 4 might become the problem for GC MAGNIER because the climbs in this stage are pretty steep and quite long. Primoz Roglic is once again the favorite, but he kind of shit the bed the other day, so let's hope he does better. Actually, no, let's hope he does just as bad. But as you know, our plan is to go for a miracle with Paul MAGNIER, GC MAGNIER on the slopes of Mount Kosciuszko? What a name. Anyway, let's begin. So, the stage has begun, and the first couple of riders are attacking into the breakaway. Paul MAGNIER with a +1 on the day, so 72 mountain stat. That's better than 70. But taking a closer look at this final climb, there are some steep sections in there, but it's actually not the hardest climb in the world. Looks like UAE Team Emirates is controlling the breakaway attack, so I don't need to worry about those too much. We've got 4 riders up the road, including Chris Harper, pretty solid climber, but he's on 8 minutes in GC, so I'm not too scared. Honestly, I think I'll just stay in the peloton as defensively as possible and try to survive the stage. The hardest climb of today is actually not the last climb, it's this middle climb in the middle of the stage, and the peloton is kind of crawling up it, so that's great for MAGNIER. Okay then, 45 kilometers left, and I gotta give you a bit of an update. The brakes gap went up to 7 minutes, but it's down to 3 minutes 20 again, thanks to the tempo of Kubish and now Noval. I'm trying to make sure the breakaway doesn't win. Next to that, Paul MAGNIER is looking pretty fantastic together with Rojas and Zeng as his domestiques for the final climb, and that climb is coming. It's long, but maybe doable. Here we go, the final climb is starting. Paul MAGNIER in a good position as we speak. Dane's Gap, 16 kilometers at 4.4%, but that's not the entire length to the finish. There's still some climbing after that. Come on, Paul, hold on for dear life. Ineos is pacing. I'm having to go 84 to just stay in position, which is more than I'm comfortable with. That said, we're almost over the hardest part of the climb, so we are surviving quite well with half of our yellow still left. And the break is getting caught as we speak by attacks by the Plus and Van Eetveld, but they're sitting up now, so I'm not complaining. Let's get ourselves back into position here on this flatter section. Oh, is that a move? Yes, it is. Primoz Roglic is going on the steeper section. We've got Luke Plap trying to pace him down. We're going to try and keep ourselves in position. 25 riders only in this group. Kristen is still here in the awkward jersey, but Primoz is getting a gap of 15 seconds over the top of this hill. But it looks like he's now sitting up in the downhill, so maybe not the smartest strategy in the world, because he's obviously getting caught again. MAGNIER's yellow bar is not too fantastic, but I think attacks are coming, so I gotta be ready to respond here. There we go, into the wheel of Vere. We go with the move of Brenner here in a group of 6 riders. I'm low-key terrified in this attack, to be honest. I shouldn't do much. Now a gap of 25 seconds on the peloton led by Van Eetveld. We've got 11k to go and my yellow bar is looking really bad. Oh? someone else is looking pretty bad too. Young Kristen is getting dropped by the front group. Hopefully this group sits up though, because otherwise I am doomed. Can I get into the wheel of someone? I can't. It's 9 kilometers to go, but I'd like to sit in the wheel of someone so that they can respond to the attacks and I can just follow. Honestly, after this bump, it's slightly downhill, so that's good for my yellow bar, but I gotta make sure I don't get dropped by an attack here over the top. So far, a pretty passive ride, so 6.5 kilometers to go, and we're looking pretty good. Under the 5k banner, energy gel on Paul Magnier. Can I follow someone yet? No, I can't. Yellow bar is recovering a little bit, so that's good. I am shocked by the fact that this group is literally relaying into the last 2.5 kilometers with Mr. Paul Magnier in their wheel. Am I going to win a mountain stage? It is possible, but my yellow bar is not looking too fantastic. I'm going to start my sprint early. There we go on the right side of the road. That's stupid. That is so stupid. I'll sprint again. Come on, Magnier. Come on, come on, come on. Go, go, go. Last 200 meters. Paul Magnier is going to win an unofficial hat trick on a mountain stage at the Tour Down Under. What a shocking victory, which means that we could win GC. I feel like sometimes I play way too defensive to the point that I don't follow attacks and then miss out on a potential stage win, but this time I followed the attack, passively stayed in that group and won the sprint, so I'm super happy. How lovely, on the podium for the third time, but I'm very curious about the next screen. I want to see where we are in GC. Are we first place? I think we might be. Yes, indeed. Let's go. Paul Magnier is the new leader of the Santos Tour Down Under. After a mountain stage, never thought I'd say that. I am somewhat shocked by the fact that Jan Kristen lost 1 minute and 36 seconds here. That is shocking. And Roglic on 2 minutes 22, so what's happening with these guys? But hey, in GC now 6 seconds for Paul Magnier ahead of Daniel Felipe Martinez and 16 seconds on Laurens de Plus. But the race is not over yet. But hey, on stage 5, a flat sprint stage, I intend to gain time, not lose it. So Paul Magnier, it's time to beat Philipsen again. Of course, this is that sprint stage with a slight uphill sprint, but also 2 cobble segments in the last 30 kilometers. We've got Paul Magnier with a +1 on the day, so 78 sprint stat. I'm loving it. So I'm on the first cobble sector. On the right top it is called Dirt Road and it's a 1-star sector, so this won't do any damage. Over the last cobble sector now we've got Jeno Bergmoes spacing, so a proper cobble rider. Noval is done for though, so it's time for Zeng to take over, but still our team in a pretty good position entering the last 10 kilometers. Oh, it's not exactly working. Last 4.5 kilometers and we're kind of in Narnia right now. 3.8 kilometers to go. Energy gel on Magnier way too late as well. This is not looking good right now. We're kind of blocked in. Watson is ready to launch his sprint in about 300 meters. Right now I'll do it. Kubic is right there. Magnier, oh, so many corners. So many corners. Kubic can launch. Magnier is not even in the wheel, but we'll try to come out in the last kilometer now. Magnier through the middle. Skytonator on the left, but Magnier tries to come out. Philipsen is going past on the right, but Paul Magnier wins again. Number 4 out of 5 stages at the Tour Down Under for Paul Magnier. Absolute domination. And I can assure you we're still playing on our super extreme difficulty. Paul Magnier is simply too strong, beating Philipsen 3 times in this Tour Down Under, and we also take some bonus seconds. We're now 16 seconds ahead in GC on Martinez, so we're pretty much safe. Then again, stage 6 is kind of a GC stage. Before we get to that final stage, I just simulated the Classica Comunidad Valenciana, and we've got a victory by Alessio Magagnotti with his 75 sprint stat, so that's nice. Anyway, that final stage of the Tour Down Under is quite punchy, but the favorite is Paul Magnier ahead of Mathieu van der Poel, so I want to win this one. Let's make it 5 wins in 6 days. Or 6 wins in 6 days, if you count Magagnotti. Like, it is quite punchy, but Magnier is really good on that terrain, so I'm not too worried about today. It's all about staying safe and making sure nobody scary rides away. So that starts with breakaway formation. Alvarez can start by heading to the front and pacing at 75 to make sure the breakaway doesn't win. Oh my god, I just realized it's a stage of 200 kilometers, so it's gonna be such a long stage for my teammates to control. Hopefully I'm strong enough to do so. Actually, I've stopped pacing with Alvarez because Alpecin and Trek have decided to control the breakaway for me, so that's great. So, 40 kilometers to go, 4 times Mount Panorama left. The first time is right here. We've got our train up and running, Alvarez pacing, and I'm not going to pace too much, just defensively. There's a break ahead, 2 minutes 54 now, but they're not dangerous riders. They're all on 30-ish minutes in GC, so I'm not too worried if they win the stage, but but I kind of want to win myself with MAGNIER to keep winning, you know? So we are pacing over the top with Alvarez to try and put a dent in that breakaway gap. Onto Mount Panorama for the second time. Gap is down to 1 minute 30, so we're closing in. Watson is now pacing. Alvarez is done for. Honestly, I think I'm planning to launch MAGNIER on that second last climb to try to win the stage solo. In the last 15k and the breakaway has been caught, we are still pacing with Rojas right now, and then 2.5 riders left after that, so we're still looking pretty good. In the last 13k now, 2 climbs to come and the breakaway has been caught. I'm leading out towards that second last climb because, well, I want to launch MAGNIER. There we go, onto the climb. Rojas on 99. Zeng can do so as well pretty soon right now. There we go. Kubish in the wheel looking pretty fantastic. Let's wait. We can't wait too long though because, oh, snap, we've got to move on the right side of the road by Martinez. Can I respond to that with Kubish? Yes, I can. Let's do that. And I will try to... I can't attack here. I simply cannot attack here. I don't think I can. I will anyway. There we go. MAGNIER attacks on the second last climb over the top on 99 into the descent. And Zeng should stop pacing. But the rest of the peloton is not pacing that highly. So we've got a gap of 20 seconds. There we go. Once again onto the climb. The last time, this time around, 95.99. Come on, MAGNIER. Last 5 kilometers, the peloton is pacing behind with Bernal. This was a very risky strategy, but if it works, it's gonna be cool. Bernal is trying to get to our wheel, but there comes Quinn Simmons on the left side, and we have been caught. Martinez goes. Van der Poel tries to follow. We are getting spat off the back, right? No, we are not. Can I get to the wheel of someone? Those guys have a gap. Those guys have a gap. I do not like that because those are my competitors for GC. I need to sprint all out in the downhill. The Plus has a gap. He can't have a big gap because he's 26 seconds behind. Come on, MAGNIER, close the gap, buddy, close the gap. The winner is going to be Laurens de Plus or Van der Poel. Van der Poel's going to come past in the last few meters. No, it's going to be Laurens de Plus. I definitely could have won that stage if I simply played a little bit more safe here, but Paul MAGNIER gets third on this stage, so we get some bonus seconds and we don't lose too much time. GC is still ours. Whew, that was way more stressful than it should have been in the final few kilometers. Am I regretting attacking on that second last climb? For sure, because I could have been on this podium instead of Laurens de Plus. I could have won the stage. That said, it's not too big of a deal. Paul MAGNIER is still the winner of the Tour Down Under, 4 stage wins and GC. Let's go in that awkward jersey. Not exactly a surprise, but we also take home the points classification and the white jersey as well. I think it's fair to say Dacia Sirocco's first race of the season was pretty successful. I'm sorry, but what a race for Paul MAGNIER. Every single stage in the top 10, winning 4 of them and a podium on the last day. That transfer was already worth it. And of course, after winning the Tour Down Under in the UCI World Tour ranking, we are the best team in the world. Anyway, next episode we'll take on the UAE Tour as our next stage race, but after that we go to Belgium for Omloop Nieuwsblad and Italy for Strade Bianche, so the one-day races are coming. But all of that is for next time. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you soon. Goodbye!